Hello, everybody. You've tuned into the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance and Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the Indiana State Police Alliance. I want to thank them for their continued support of the Indiana State Police Roadshow. My friend and compadre, Tom Trial, behind the scenes, putting us on YouTube each and every week. So make sure that you visit the ISP YouTube site to see all these shows that we're talking about and that we have done in the past, and some shows that Tom has come across from the archives of the Indiana State Police. I have with me today Dr. Richard Houge. He is the Corporate and Educational Security Specialist with the Indiana State Police, and you've been with me before, haven't you, Doc?
Yes, about 4 years ago, we had an opportunity to talk and visit for a while.
I thought we had, but I'm glad to have you back.
My pleasure.
And one thing that we want to talk about, first thing off the bat here, is to let people know about an event that's coming up March the 21st at the Putnam County Greencastle High School, 910 East Washington Street program that's being put on by Putnam County Sheriff Scott Stockton. He's arranged for the state police, Dr. Houge, to put on an unarmed response to active shooter that evening from 6:30 to 8:30, and that event is open to the public, and the best part about it, free.
That's absolutely. That's always a great selling point.
It is. It's every one of your programs that you put on is absolutely
everything
free.
We do is free.
Yeah, good deal. So 4 years flown by. We've had a lot of things happen, and we were talking about the show before we started here 4 years ago when we started this, and Columbine had happened, and superintendent got on board and got this going. It was a lot of schools that you were doing, but it's kind of evolved out to other places, hasn't it?
Yeah, we started out doing just primarily schools, K-12,
right.
Primarily secondary schools. But since that time, we've added the Supreme Court and Appellate Court and the Senate, House of Representatives, Simon Corporation, Sony, Dow Chemical, and small businesses, real estate offices, and libraries. Churches are big now in terms of requests. So our program has evolved from doing primarily schools, public schools, private schools, to all kinds of businesses across the spectrum now.
So has your program evolved also? Because I know, but I'm looking for your answer to this. The program's had to evolve from the first event that we've looked into and that you studied to the last one. There's got to be a lot of things that we're learning that we've changed the program up on.
Absolutely. Each time we go to a program, we learn.
Yes.
And our audiences, although they've expanded dramatically, we take time to do a question and answer session and visit with people afterwards. And then we've posted that on the State Police website. We have, around 20 plus pages of frequently asked questions that come from across the spectrum, schools, businesses, and those kinds of things. But as we mentioned a moment ago, the business or the schools we really initially started with, the program dealt specifically with risk factors and factors to deal with in schools. And we started this concept of an unarmed response to an active shooter event. And that's what's unique about the state police program. We've taken the traditional run, hide, fight model and expanded it and put prevention on the front end, and then we've expanded each step in that model. But not only have we expanded each step, but we've changed the program and written special versions for schools, businesses, churches, and those kinds of things. We have both business and school versions posted on the State Police website, and by the end of next month, we'll have another version that will be posted that will be applicable to churches and smaller venues.
And not only that, I know, but you've also dealt with transportation with the school buses.
I think that's an excellent point. We get, and Captain Burston mentioned this in a program we did just not too long ago. He's actually getting requests from Germany. We've provided this program across the United States and into Canada. And now we're getting requests from across the continent and into other areas of the world. Yeah. So it's become a program, and yes, we actually were fortunate enough to film a video on Mooresville school buses.
Yes.
And then we also had an opportunity to go to Sheridan and film in the Sheridan High School our version of the unarmed response to an active shooter event program with Sheridan students.
I know you worked with Trooper Chris Kath on the bus thing, and that was something that was a great idea because there's a lot lot of hours that kids spend on buses to and from, and that's the way they're going to be transported to and from. And to look at that and to think ahead on that and to have a plan in place is something looking forward.
Absolutely. Chris Cath's been amazing. Chris had this idea that school buses are very vulnerable, and we need to provide options for students on the bus as well as bus drivers.
Right.
And so we've provided several programs throughout the state with the Unarmed Response to Active Shooter event. We have videos embedded on a school bus, Chris's videos that they developed in Mooresville, and then the Sheridan videos are all embedded within our school version of the Unarmed Response to an Active Shooter
that
event.
Anybody can pull up and look and use.
They're posted free, and you can download them. We also found that many people want to provide a program as a staff development, so we wrote presenters notes that are posted on the state police website as well, and those presenters notes are actually matched up with each slide.
Okay.
And so if someone wants to do one and they are able to go to the presenter's notes and actually do a program from the presenter's notes and the PowerPoint. I should mention also that you can go to the Indiana State Police website if you're a school or business or church. And on the left-hand side of our homepage at the Indiana State Police, you just scroll down and you have active shooter preparedness.
Right.
And you can click on that and you can schedule a state trooper to come to your school corporation, to your school building, and provide the Unarmed Response to Active Shooter event. We've trained 75 troopers in the state. Not their only job, but they go up and beyond the call of duty, if you please. And these guys go to schools and provide this program free.
Yeah, I know I've been with a couple here within the last month with Trooper Ryan White, Trooper Bill Lux, and we're doing some churches in the last couple months, and they do a bang-up job, fantastic job. And
they're amazing.
And Tom Trial, our videographer, have also placed all this information that you're talking about to these videos and things on our ISP YouTube site. So they can be pulled off there or viewed also on those areas if anybody wants to look at those. So it's very, very easy to get to those sites and to use those sites for your businesses and for your schools. So talk a little bit about what has changed in your presentations and maybe what you're going to talk about at the March 21st event.
In this particular program, we had a great interest across the spectrum in schools, in churches, and businesses. And so the program that we're going to present in Greencastle is really a broad spectrum program. It has principles that are applicable to schools, businesses, and churches. We'll try to present the basic core concepts, which in our particular models, prevention, lockdown, prevention, escape, lockdown, and fight. So what we do is we take the old run, hide, fight model, and we expand each step in that model and put prevention on the front end. So for example, instead of simply saying run, we've found as we've studied more than 250 active shooter events that we want people to run intelligently. Because when we've provided these programs, for instance, in a school is a great example, and we have a perpetrator come in, and we have the staff there so they can watch this event. Perpetrator comes in with blanks and fires those blanks off. They can't determine where that shot's coming from.
Echoes in the halls and things of that nature.
Absolutely, and that's true of any fairly large facility. And so rather than just say run, we want you to run intelligently. And then we have spatial recommendations for each step in the model. In other words, in the prevention, we talk about the characteristics that identify people that are developing into an active shooter. In the escape model, we talk about running intelligently, running through a practice path, take a path and have an alternate. In the lockdown model, we want you to lock down in a secure area where you can quickly lock a door. And many of the examples, and all the way from Sandy Hook to Virginia Tech to whatever the case may be, you have to be able to lock that door very quickly. And then we talk about barricading the door, but we also talk about having rules to govern the lockdown situation. And that's something that people really don't think about, but you need to have rules and you need to have someone in charge. The best example I always give is that, let's say you lock the room down and within 3 minutes or a minute or 30 seconds, someone's beating on your door saying, it's me, let me in. What do you do?
Right.
And you have to have that decision made at the management level, typically in a business, a school, administration level. It has to be a policy that everybody's on board with. Otherwise, when I've provided this program, a discussion breaks out. Someone over here says, well, of course we'll let them in. Someone over here says, no, we'll tell them to go somewhere else. So the discussion has to be made. And then the last one's the fight option. And we've worked with our SWAT groups to talk about bringing people into the circle of violence, putting yourself in a strategic place, identifying weapons ahead of a time. Our mind doesn't work like we want it to work in these situations. And we've talked to people, and I actually had one person, I said, what, and we're in this room, we've locked down, you're getting ready to fight, what are you going to do? And they said, we're going to pick that chair up. And I said, fine, pick the chair up. This particular person could not pick the chair up. And so, it's those kinds of things.
Right.
You have to look around and plan ahead of time, practice it, and do a coordinated effort if you're in that unthinkable situation where you have to fight for your life.
Yeah, and that's something, again, if you're trained, if you're looking at that beforehand, it's going to be that muscle memory that you want to come back to.
Absolutely, that's true. And we've talked to troopers and as I say, SWAT people, and we've tried to walk through these different options and think about what we want to tell people to enable them to respond more appropriately.
So these classes that you've been giving across Indiana, and they're going out across the United States and things, are they coming back with favorable aspects of what they're learning on this?
Yeah, I think that's been one of the most rewarding things for everybody involved in this program. And I'm talking about from the top to the bottom in the Indiana State Police. We're getting calls back and emails back from people out of state, out of the country, saying, these are things that we see in terms of early warning signs that we, as we look back in some of these issues, you hit it right on the head. Right. Also, we're getting a lot of things back from parents, grandparents saying, I worry about my son or daughter or grandchild, and you've helped.
Good.
And not being Rich Houge, but the Indiana State Police, because as you mentioned a moment ago, we have 75 troopers that are out there providing these programs every day, and they all lend their special expertise because they have that with the job they do on a day-to-day basis. So all the credit goes to those troopers that are out there doing these programs every day.
Security plans within a business or within a school, are we able to assist with those? Yes,
we're in the process of walking through as we provide the program. We don't do a true threat assessment because a true threat assessment is a policy decision, is a practice decision, is a goal and objectives situation. It also involves several days at the facility really doing an assessment. But what we're often able to do is talk about what a threat assessment may do. And we're in the process, we should have this fall, we should have a threat assessment tutorial program. It's not a true threat assessment, but it teaches people the principles of threat assessment because we feel like that each school individual knows their job and their school community better than anyone.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so we would be coming from the outside telling somebody what they need. And that's what a lot of people do and charge a lot of money for doing it. We do everything for free, as we mentioned a moment ago, but also we feel like that we should help individuals learn the principles of threat assessment, and then as we leave, we don't take that knowledge with us. It stays there in the building, and they are able to continually update their program and do their threat assessment and get the results and modify their program, and it's an ongoing process that way. Otherwise, we'd just be coming in and giving them a checklist and leaving.
Well, again, Dr. Richard Houge with the Indiana State Police Corporate and Educational Security, I thank you for being in here. Thank you for taking your time, and thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed the opportunity at a Class Act organization.
Good. Well, again, Putnam County Sheriff Scott Stockton has arranged for the state police program known as Unarmed Response to an Active Shooter event to be presented by Dr. Houge at the Greencastle High School, 1910 I'm sorry, 910 East Washington Street in Greencastle. Wednesday, March 21st, 6:30 to 8:30. We'll see you there. Take care. Roadshow out.